Hey.
Hey everyone, StayC for clear skin and a healthy lifespan. This is my first real video, and I don't usually make videos, but since I'm a longtime Swift, I felt it was my God-given duty to make this video about a topic I've seen come up lately. That is StayC and their so-called producer privilege. So what is producer privilege exactly? Well, we are going to find out soon. First, before I get into the video's topic, I have to give some background. So StayC is a group that debuted under their company High Up Entertainment on November 12th, 2020 with their debut song So Bad. The members are Sumin, the leader, Sheeun, the main vocal, Aisa, the lead vocal, Seun, the sub vocal, Yoon, also a lead vocal, and Jae, a sub vocal. Their producers are known as Black Eyed Pilsung. They were a duo consisting of two guys, Rado and Kyusung. They were formed in 2014 and are known for hits such as Touch My Body by Sistar, Only You by Miss A, and Like Ooh Ah by Twice. In August 2017, they joined forces with CJ to form High Up Entertainment, but they became independent in 2018. Their first group was a duo named 415, and their second act is girl group StayC. So I want to lay out some arguments about why StayC's producer privilege doesn't exist. First, what is producer privilege? So producer privilege can mean various things, but basically it's when you get attention because of your producer, or your songs automatically chart well because of your producer. This phrase is problematic for many reasons. So my first point is, no one stands a group because of a producer. I know people are thinking, oh well, of course no one stands a group for a producer. They have to have a good song too. And to that I say, well, a good song is the bare minimum. There are plenty of groups that have good producers that don't chart well. There are plenty of groups that have good songs that don't chart well. Also, there are plenty of songs in the charts that are actually mid. It's not about song quality, it's about the popularity of the artist and the company influence. Yes, the public has a certain taste that they like, but it's getting harder to please people year to year because y'all are so fickle and move on to the next group like you change your socks. The general public doesn't think, oh, I'm going to listen to BEP's new girl group on the way to work today. That's not how it works. Most people aren't checking for idol groups nowadays because many of them stopped catering to the Korean public and they started targeting international fans themselves with heavy EDM, bass music, and dance performances. That kind of music was never popular in Korea. Even before StayC debuted, I barely had an idea who Black Eyed Pilsung was. I knew they wrote for Twice, but writing for other popular artists doesn't mean your own group will get attention. I only knew who they were because JYP stans kept bringing up his name everywhere. It's like having a famous older sister. Just because they are famous doesn't mean people will know or care who you are. That's not how it works. Plus, artists chart because of the artists themselves and how they sell their concept. This isn't a new thing. Also, let's look at how StayC actually got popular. I'm going to reference a couple of videos that I will link in the description. In 2020, when they debuted, the landscape was very bare. There weren't a lot of notable girl groups in the 4th gen scene because 3rd gen was still going strong. The most popular groups at that time were ITZY, Idol, and IZ*ONE. When StayC debuted, their only competition was aespa. I remember when they debuted, I didn't even find out about their music video until 3 days later, and that was only after I saw their video in the algorithm. The song was good, the members looked good, everything was perfect. It was a fever dream. Only when I looked them up did I find out Black Eyed Pilsung was their producer. Mind you, as I said previously, I only knew who they were because of JYP stans. I've been to K-pop for almost a decade. I can guarantee you no one ever stanned or even looked into a group because of a producer. Just because you saw a couple of articles means nothing when their company was unknown and they had no pre-debut fan base. Not to mention, So Bad only peaked in the top 200. In a video from the Korean Music Association, the person in the video, Steve Che, an industry expert, talks about StayC's rise. He's friends with one of their producers, Rado, and in it he talks about how he thought Rado was crazy for wanting to debut a girl group. He said, "Bro, don't do it." Obviously, Rado didn't listen. Both he and the producer stated their debut did not meet expectations. Sure, their song did okay for a small company, but compare them to a group like aespa who sold 600K for their debut album and debuted around the same time, and even charted higher. The difference was severe, and their debut was not enough to cement their image at all. To really be a top-tier group, you have to solidify the image with the public. That's why the producer was rightfully disappointed. He felt like a lot of you, that, oh, since I'm a famous producer, my girl group should be sweeping all the charts. Yet, their first week's sales show that wasn't the case. In Steve Che's video on his channel, he talks about how it's the company itself that determines the group's success. Groups in the Big Four, or with pure debut fan bases, get a lot more benefit. You really have to go out to even get people's attention. Their first week's sales at debut were only 10K, and like Steve said in the video, there was no reason So Bad couldn't have charted higher at all. There wasn't a lot of competition. The producers were famous, right? The song was good, the girls were pretty, and it's their token song nowadays. People even make memes about it to the point Swift get annoyed, and rightfully so. But anyway, top 200 is very underwhelming for a girl group that is expected to compete. He even said it charted the way it did because people weren't even aware of them back then, and I agree with that. Competition at the time. If anything, competing with someone like aespa with a completely different concept from them helped them because it was friendly competition. People were pitting them together since they debuted at the same time. I even remember trolls going on StayC videos saying StayC is better than aespa, StayC is better than aespa. Another group in StayC's position that year was Weekly. They debuted with some attention because of their sunbaes, A-Pink, who were popular in the second generation. Up until StayC debuted, they were the rookie with the highest sales that year. They also debuted at an empty time during the pandemic when there wasn't a lot of talent. They had a similar start to StayC. They had a lot of momentum and even won Rookie of the Year. Even during ASAP, their song After School went viral. Both ASAP and After School were sleeper hits. After School peaked at 135 on the daily chart. However, Weekly's company fucked up and didn't capitalize on it properly. Their song did well because of nostalgia related to it, but their company assumed that it was just because of the cute concept. They didn't read the room. So Holiday Party sort of flopped because it didn't stand out. To add insult to injury, they completely changed their concept with Venpara. But point is, to get the public's attention, you have to be consistent and read the market. It's not easy, but it's very easy to lose listeners because of one misstep. Good management and a good producer are the bare minimum. ASAP peaked at number 8 on the daily chart. And that was great. They had a good run. Their album sales also increased as well. Their first week sales for their second album, Stardom, tripled to over 35,000 copies. That was big for them. However, they were still lacking, and they were in an unstable position with a small fan base. Then came Stereotype. They did well, peaking at number 9 on the real-time charts, and number 18 on the Melon Top 100. But its performance compared to ASAP was underwhelming. They only peaked at number 28 on the daily charts, nowhere as close to a hit as ASAP was. It didn't flop and did okay, but StayC plateaued a bit at this point. And was the song bad? No, it wasn't bad. They even stuck to their concept, did everything right. It was especially underwhelming because at the same time, aespa was topping charts with Next Level and Savage. StayC still sold 146K albums for Stereotype, and that was good, but they were still nowhere where they needed to be to remain relevant. And that same year, IVE debuted, who had a pretty big fan base because of One Young and Eugen of IZ*ONE. And the difference between their debut and StayC was drastic. They peaked at number 3 on the Melon Top 100 and 11 is still charting in the top 70 over a year later. And their album has sold almost 500k copies to date. Meanwhile, StayC struggled to crack 20k in the first month. From that point on, StayC was expected to be able to compete with the Digimons. And now let's compare the unique listeners for StayC's songs up to Stereotype. That's the best way to gauge the public's engagement with the song. So Bad had 56k unique listeners. When they released ASAP, their popularity grew immensely and they peaked at 230k listeners. Stereotype had the same amount, but at that point, you can see they plateaued. This shows that the public is fickle and easy to lose their attention. It would have been very easy for StayC to do worse from that point on. 2022 was a very competitive year for StayC. In addition to IVE, Idol came back from hiatus and other popular groups like LE SSERAFIM, NewJeans, Kepler, and MX debuted. StayC's first comeback of 2022 was the song Run to You on the album YoungLove.com. It peaked at number 4 on the top 100 and number 5 on the daily chart. They even got 340k unique listeners, which was a big increase from Stereotype and ASAP. However, like I said, groups like Idol and IVE were popping off at that same time last year, and so StayC was at risk of being a bit overshadowed. With the increasing amount of competition, people were expecting more from them. A big reason why 2022 was a bit rough for them was because after IZ*ONE disbanded, you had all these companies trying to get a piece of the pie, including Starship with IVE, HYBE with LE SSERAFIM, and also with NewJeans. JYP debuted NMIXX as well, and NMIXX debuted Kepler in collaboration with Wake One Entertainment. There was a lot of pressure on them to step it up, and they did. They sold 230 sales a month after release and surpassed 250k copies. That was good, and their fan base was growing. Even still, they were rookie selling 400k to even 1 million per album. There was even more pressure on them to step it up, and even around the same time, NMIXX, who they beat in music shows, sold 230k in their first week alone. Now, this is the part you're waiting for, Beautiful Monster. Objectively, Beautiful Monster did terribly compared to their previous songs. People said the song wasn't good, but good versus bad songs are very subjective. We have seen this many times with artists topping the charts because of their popularity alone. It only peaked at number 51 on the daily charts. They only got 1 music show win, and unfortunately, their album sales plateaued as well, only selling 260k, a similar number as last time. The song may not have met expectations, but it was by no means the worst song out there. However, it only got 170k unique listeners. People didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. I saw comments left and right saying they were done, they were flopping, NewJeans, IVE, etc. would overshadow them. People even saying stuff like Beautiful Monster was the worst song to release during the summer. This was around the time that Girls' Generation, Twice, IVE, NewJeans, aespa, and ITZY came back. But they still went forward with the comeback despite the competition. They knew it wouldn't do well, but people acted like they lost popularity or something. To this day, people gaslight Swift and say, who was hating on StayC? People just didn't like the song, when y'all call anyone a flop when it's convenient. Industry experts have looked at how there is an issue with groups made by producers in this industry succeeding. Might be hard to believe, but this kind of group isn't new. The top 4 companies were all founded by producers. In fact, other producers like Ryan Jun, Im Chang-jung, Rain, Psy, Shin Sang-dong, Tiger, Brave Brothers, and Double Sidekick all made their own groups. These aren't even all the examples. The CEO of RBW, Kim Do-hoon, whose company is known for acts such as Mamamoo and Purple Kiss, is a producer. This is not a new concept, yet people think it gives groups some sort of advantage when it doesn't. A good producer is the bare minimum. Other groups are getting good producers as well. It's not that hard. That's why demos are a thing. I blame companies for not even doing the bare minimum. So K-pop stans, think it's the normal way for how things should be done. StayC's company is just good at their job. But anyway, in an article I read last night, it said that until now, all producer groups have failed and disbanded without any attention. StayC is a dark horse in this race. Ryan Jun, who I mentioned previously, is a well-known producer. Some of the biggest songs last year were made by him. These include After Like and 11 by IVE. He also wrote Celebrity by IU, just to name a few. He debuted his own girl group, Bugaboo, who most haven't even heard of, and they disbanded after like a year. And I know people will say it's because of bad management. Well, yeah, but again, good management is the bare minimum. When someone is streaming on the Spotify Top 100, they don't give a fuck about management. Are you going to say their songs were bad? Or what about Brave Girls, produced by the one and only Brave Brothers, who wrote so many hits like Heart Attack by AOA, Because of You by After School, and What's Your Name by 4 Minute. But guess what? His own girl group, Brave Girls, wasn't known for 10 whole years. It wasn't until they went viral, and not even with the original lineup in 2021 with Rollin', that they got popular, and even won music shows. They were the most popular girl group of 2021. Was Rollin' a bad song? Clearly not to the public. Why didn't it do as well? Brave Girls themselves even stated that they felt it should have done well, but their producer messed up because the concept wasn't exactly safe for work, if you know what I mean. They had to change the choreo because it got censored. Also, it sounded like a summer song, yet the album cover and video were so dark. This shows that it's not about the music. It's about popularity and marketing. Doesn't mean you will be a good food reviewer, and vice versa. Black Eyed Pilsung aren't even the CEOs of StayC's company. Someone else is. Knowing how to produce doesn't make you a good producer either. Companies have been hiring producers like Black Eyed Pilsung for years. They even use to work for other companies. What do you think companies like SM, Hybe, YG, JYP, etc. are doing? Or even Starship. Look at IVE, New Jeans, The Seraphim. Are their companies not getting good producers as well? When you're competing with other artists, having a good producer doesn't matter. It's the bare minimum. StayC's company is just good at their job. Why would you say StayC has producer privilege and not keep that same energy for other groups? With this logic, any group has producer privilege. If you can't give any other examples of producer privilege, then it doesn't exist. Eugene's producer 250 has literally won awards. He's a singer himself. Does that mean they have producer privilege now? I guarantee if he made his own girl group, they would flop as well. People need to learn how the industry works. Black Eyed Pilsung has also written a whole slew of songs that did not do well commercially. People only bring up the same old names like Twice or Sistar. However, they made plenty of other songs for lesser known artists. Y'all slept on Shannon Williams, Neil, Teen Top, Ron, AOA Cream, and I know no one is talking about them to this day. Be honest with yourself. They even had their own boy group, 415, that flopped and had to silently disband last year. Where was the support then? They were working long before Twice. They even worked for A-Pink's company. But A-Pink's biggest hits weren't even by Black Eyed Pilsung, but by other producers like Shin Sadong Tiger for 5 and Mr. Chu by Double Sidekick. The first songs that Black Eyed Pilsung wrote for them actually flopped or really underperformed. It wasn't until I'm So Sick when their first hit song was from Black Eyed Pilsung. Another thing people say is StayC is under Kakao. They have connections. Newsflash, everyone has connections. Doesn't matter. You have connections, I have connections. It did nothing for StayC themselves. StayC even debuted as an independent company and only got acquired after ASAP. I didn't even know nor care that they were under Kakao. Some people just love to discredit their hard work or making shit up for attention. Kakao privilege does not exist. No group is known as a Kakao group. I didn't even hear this phrase until last year because people look at Kakao as some big boogeyman nowadays. They are literally a tech conglomerate. Artists are not their specialty and they don't form idol groups. They just divest in multiple things. There was no company that has started without an investor. You don't just wake up one day and decide to open a company. Every company has financing, and if they don't, they were the ones that shut down and go bankrupt so fast. It's not a privilege, it's the bare minimum. It doesn't even help people to invite them to TV shows, or buy their albums, or stream their songs. Even StayC is so popular, but they still haven't been on major shows like Knowing Brothers or Amazing Saturday like other popular groups. There are so many companies and artists under Kakao that no one cares about. People really need to stop taking their popularity for granted. Teddy Bear may have peaked at number 1 on the real-time chart and number 2 on the Melon Top 100, and is still doing pretty well, but it was very hard for them to get to this point. They're even selling as much as top groups now. It takes a lot of money and time to invest in a group. As of now, with all their success, there's still no confirmation they have even been paid. People just see you succeed and make assumptions about the path you took to get there. You wouldn't like if someone did that to you, so don't do it to StayC. Anyway, this might have been a bit long, but thanks for listening if you're still here. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on TikTok and Twitter. And also stream Teddy Bear by StayC for clear skin. Bye.